everybody. Welcome back to Between Two Eagles Nest. I'm your host, the legend, JJ Britt. Um, got a special guest here with us today, y'all guys. I don't know what you would call him, the TBT ambassador or some TBT ambassador or something like that. But it's going to be about today's going to be about travel ball, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I've known this man for a long, long time. This is Mr. Miguel Rivera. And we're going to talk a lot about travel ball and what the fact that TBT is now joining forces with Eagle Lake Community Baseball, and can't wait to get that going. How you doing?
Doing good, man.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. As always.
Yeah, me and Miguel go back quite a ways. Many years. So excited about that. So before we get started, there's no scoreboard, but I do want to give a few shout outs. I know Auburndale 12UA, they start their regional tournament Wednesday in Julington Creek.
Yes.
Julington Creek. So congratulations or good luck to them guys. Go get them. That's Coach Trent in that bunch over in Auburndale.
Great team.
Also, Bartow Tenu is up in Alexandria, Virginia right now, and they're getting ready. I think they start Wednesday or Thursday. So,
yeah, shout out to them as well.
Shout out to them as well. They're playing their team from North Carolina.
Really good club as well.
Really good club, yeah. And one of the cool things about that, Miguel, is so one of Jake's former players moved 2 years ago. Brady Starmer, if you're watching this, Brady, we miss you. But he moved up to North Carolina.
Okay.
And made the All-Star team. They won the state, and they're in the same division as Bartow.
Okay.
So he goes all the way up there and can't get rid of Polk County. So, but we miss you, Brady, and hope you're doing well, man. And so it's really cool. Also want to give two more shout outs. And I forgot to do it the last one. Lakeland Highlands 14U and 16U are both in state over in Sarasota. Both are undefeated. Both are going into the the championship brackets. So congratulations and good luck to them. Hopefully they can bring this thing home as well. So Polk County is just growing, dude.
Yeah,
it's huge. So
and that's what Babe Ruth.
Yeah, Cal Ripken. Yeah. No, well, that's Babe Ruth. Yeah, that's
you know, there's also, if you look at on the other leagues as well, Polk County representing, you got Lake Wells and Haines City also moved on.
Absolutely, yes.
So a quick shout out to them.
Yes, absolutely.
There are some TBT boys there.
Haines City, yeah, like you said, Haines City and Lake Wells, both are.
Yep.
They're in Dixie Youth, so is it still
Little League?
they're in Little League.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, because the only reason I say that is every organization has a different thing. Where Cal Ripken's got your district, then you go to state, then you go to regionals, then you go to World Series. Where I know back in the day, I don't know if it's the same way now, but Dixie Youth had you did your districts, your state, and then your World Series.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how.
Not sure either. I know
Little League does it.
Bartow won Dixie
last year. Yes. Their team went to the World Series.
They won, yeah.
Yeah, won it all. So, but anyways, that's roundup of the scoreboard. By the way, congratulations to our 13U. They went up there. They did win one game. This past weekend, our 13U team did, and Eagle Lakes did in Sarasota. So they got knocked out yesterday, I do believe, or the day before. But congratulations to them on a great season. Really nice job. So let's get into this. Miguel, how you been, bud? You good?
Good,
man. So let's start off by introducing yourself to
Sure.
everybody. Other than the fact that we've known each other for years, talk about growing up. Where did you grow up?
We can kind of start with that. I was born, raised in Puerto Rico. That's where I'm originally from. Came here, moved back and forth a little bit, but then ended up at college for bringing me here. Played with Sykes over at Warner, and loved it. It was a great experience. Team went to the World Series and everything, so it was just a absolutely great experience. And after that, finished, got the degree, got a master's, put a tie on, and started working in finance. Um, Several things later, what I'm still doing. But a little bit, you say a long time, man. I've known you. I've known JJ. What I think over 10 years plus. I think it was Mike Panico that was
The
president at
president
the
here.
time.
Yeah.
After that, Matt
Diaz,
came,
and then
Greg Tate,
and now Jake Wren.
Yeah.
So
I remember that. My youngest boy, I got two boys. The youngest, he was doing t-ball and stuff here, and that's what got me to Eagle Lake. And I think that team ended up placing fourth in the state or something like that.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. But yeah, that's how I started, man. That's a long time ago. That was just last week. Can't date ourselves too much.
So you got into the a lot of times when you, well, I think before Axel, but
Yeah.
you got into coaching and stuff before
Yeah,
Axel, didn't
it's and it was kind of off and on. Uh, I never set out to just want to be coach. I just like the majority, 99%. You just help your son and you help others, kind of pay it forward, so to speak. But it was never my goal to just say I want to be Mr. Coach. Never got into it for those reasons. And we would do private lessons. I had in our property we had a batting cage, and I would do it there, and just that's kind of how it started, and took time off of it, and then Axel came around and he got me off the couch, and basically started working with him, and that's it again, and it started from there. Other parents wanted, I started doing lessons again, and after T-ball, that's I think by the way that's kind of why it was good to talk travel, because I think the path that I had is very similar to what the majority of parents have. You get their kids, they go to T-ball, you see a flash of like, wow, this kid might be the next.
You never know.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
So from T-ball, and then all the lights go off, and then you start finding opportunities here and there. You start finding new challenges, and if the challenge you don't see it locally, then you start going elsewhere, and that's kind of what brought travel ball in. And then COVID hit, and that kind of changed the environment a little bit. But that's kind of what motivated. That's kind of what got us into travel ball. And then what a lot of families in this area run into is that once you start looking for that next challenge, it was absent.
Yeah.
It just
I
wasn't
agree.
there. And I found myself driving over an hour just to play baseball, and it was just insane. Um, so, talked to a few organizations. TBT had already asked me to coach for them. I had turned them down on two different occasions. And long story short, a few things occurred to where I decided to go on ahead and just put a local team together. That was it. Um, and we started with a local team. Quick shout out to Eric out of Haines City. We just decided, hey, let's do this. And he's done a phenomenal job with the 11U team. He loves and cares for those kids.
So let's get into
Yeah.
that. So how many divisions now? Take Eagle Lake out of it. And so we'll get into TBT jumping
Yeah.
in with Eagle Lake in a minute. So how many divisions did the TBT Patriots have now?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story, man, because I don't even I don't even like to say that I have an organization. Um, I never once set out to establish an organization. Uh, in my finance background, I learned that you you can't be all things to everybody,
Yeah.
but you can be all things to some. So the idea was just to work with that small group and provide them access to everything. Um, team practices, private training, whatever that's needed, and keep them involved with the local leagues. That was the mindset, and just things just worked out to where all of a sudden we have other families, brothers of a kid that's playing on the team, and just one day I got off the phone. I think it was a Page or somebody. I can't remember who I was talking to on the phone, and I just called Eric and I said, "Man, it's time. Let's do it." And that's when we got Josh. Shout out to Josh. He's with the seniors in Haines City. Josh Aranda, and he said, "Hey, let's do 14." He was gracious enough to give me access to fields in Haines City, and he expanded as well. He took on the older boys, did a phenomenal job with the older boys. We played nothing but big tournaments, and great coach, and that's kind of how it all started. When we ended up having the 11U, 12U. At one point, we had two 12Us, the 13U, um, 14, and then for up to this past fall, we had also 16. The 16U was put on hold because we had boys getting ready for their last year of high school, and we decided to halt it. That's where we're a little different. We did everything at cost. In fact, it cost my family money. We never, nobody got made money out of this. It was just purely to get back and to do things the right way. Um, so we didn't have the need to keep the teams moving.
Right.
In order to make money, we would flat out do what was right, for the families and for the kids. And if we needed more time to get physically ready, then we did what was necessary in order to do that. So that team was put on hold because we had some kids that are looking to have a standout senior year. They had a few things they needed to work on, and that's where the attention is going. It went away from jumping into tournaments.
Okay.
So
So now we'll get into the big merger. I say a big merger. You make it sound like it's an MLB deal or something.
it kind of is a big deal. Let me tell you.
But what we're fixing to get into is Eagle Lake has partnered with TBT.
Yeah.
Thanks to a lot to you for
And to
bringing
Jake.
and to Jake for
And I'll touch on that.
bringing TBT, merging TBT and Eagle Lake Elite, our travel organization, together. So where did that come from?
That's a great question. I think about when this all started a year and a half, 2 years ago. I reached out to. I'm at home. I work from home, and I'm at home, and I guess I was bored. I'm thinking of ideas. I'm thinking, to do this the right way, it would be great to do such and such. So I pick up the phone out of nowhere and I call Sean. Sean. Yeah, he was involved with the league when I was here, and I'm like, hey, what do you think? What do you think about this? And I was kind of hoping for him to say, "This is stupid," and he thought, well, that would be a great idea to make it work. So I'm like, all right. So I'm like, let me call Jake. So I called Jake, and I guess I didn't prepare my elevator speech too well because I kind of fumbled into how I was explaining to him. But here's what I told him, and here's what I see, I saw, I still see, is that there's so many different perceptions when you're talking travel ball or rec ball. You
Right.
talk to a travel ball family, they'll tell you rec ball sucks. You talk to this, and you'll get this, and you'll get talk to travel ball, and they'll tell you, well, this team and that team, and so it's being pulled in so many directions. People, travel ball is become very expensive to some extent, and I thought, well, what's going on? We keep losing our talent. We keep losing all the best players in the area. In order for them to get advancement or opportunities, they have to go to Orlando. They have to go to Tampa. And I thought, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So what if I could somehow have or have the opportunity as a dad, have the opportunity that my kid can play rec if he's advanced enough to make all stars and he could play all stars. If he develops a little bit more, then he can play AB. If he's wanting to dabble in travel baseball, then we can have travel baseball teams. That's the linear approach because every child develops at a different rate.
Right.
And we can't lose, we can't cater to everyone who hasn't quite advanced yet, and we can't cater to just those who only advance and leave everyone behind. Because the math right now in baseball is that there's less kids playing,
Right.
but those who are playing a lot more.
Right.
That's
A
what's
lot
going
more.
on right now.
A lot more.
Those are the stats. So then I thought, okay, so we build the travel ball, and then out of those in the travel ball world, which would be the Eagle Lake Elite, then we can have the select teams pulled, and from there you can truly have a selection that you can go and hit those main circuit tournaments. So everyone is getting exposure
Right.
to to push their talents and their limits as they need to be, but we're also providing access to get there. Because without that access, it becomes very difficult for some families or very expensive. It can get
Yes.
very expensive to jump into one of those teams. And that's not talking about the fact that they have to do it throughout a weekday with their school. And to neglect school in order to play baseball doesn't make sense to me. So that's what started. I called Jake and he's, yeah, let me think about it. So anyway, then about I don't know, about a month and a half, I think 2 months ago, I called him. I had a question for our 10U team. Shout out to Danny 10U. And uh, I, I think it was to see if we could use the field or something. And then we got to talk, and he says, "Let's do lunch." And then in person, I was able to better explain, the idea
The
behind
idea.
it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he says, "Let me talk to the people to be," and then he texts me back 2 days later, and it's a go. And that's where we're at. So we're just trying to provide that flow, that access to families and kids to be there. And that access means different things, JJ. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep
No,
talking, but
you're good.
it means different things to different people. At some point, access needs to lead into those main tournaments. You hear a lot in travel ball about development, and it means different things to different people. But ultimately, they have to develop for that opportunity, for that exposure to get into those tournaments. And Jake understands that because when he was growing up, he had the opportunity to play, I believe it was with Scorpions. So he understands the need to be present at certain tournaments. They keep telling you that if you're really good, they're going to find you. There is truth to that. But nowadays, you have to be in certain venues in order to get your name out there, and then they'll find you.
Yeah, and for those that don't know what he's talking about, is different venues. Is you have different aspects of travel, just like you do anything else, actually. But you've got the the GSA, you've got the
On travel ball in this area, you have GSA, you have USSSA, you have GOB, and you have Perfect Game. Perfect Game is considered to be the better venue. They do put on some great tournaments. People like them. You have USSSA does a great job as well, especially if you go to the Space Coast Complex. Those are the two biggest. Then you got GSA. GSA gets a lot of heat because they're more local, but they do a great job. Bob there does great. He really takes care of the teams, provides a league experience. He also provides tournaments. There's always something going on there in Front City. He does a really good job. It's crazy because he's always available on the phone. Any questions, pick up the phone. Man always picks up anything. So he does a good job as well. But where it's all happening, it's
It's
PG.
PG, perfect game, and that's like the highest of the highest. And to me, I look at it as, and I'm new to this. to the travel ball. You know me for years. You know I've always old school as it gets.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been rec ball all stars, rec ball all stars. Um, I I'm leading into a question here, but I started 2 years ago. My brother started um, a team, and me and him and Sean Proctor coached it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I'd ever been a part of a travel ball team. I don't want to say I was anti travel ball,
Yeah.
but um, I didn't I guess I didn't understand it at
Yeah.
the point. But I went and we done some GOB tournaments. We done a few GSA tournaments just to kind of get the feel of it, and it went really well. And so here's my question: is to a coach that's been coaching for years, um, what's your best sell for travel ball?
Well, it's a great question. Here's why. To some extent, I don't like the travel ball structure. I've said this to many parents. If we define travel ball as playing 2 to 3 tournaments every month, 5 darn games every weekend, that's not good. Because here's another stat: approximately 47 to 55% of all Tommy John injuries
Yeah.
are within the youth.
Yeah.
Yes, in the youth. Those numbers are now, the problem is in the youth in overthrowing, overworking these kids. So there's an element of whether it's good and whether it's bad. Um, so that's the issue. Remember, eh, there's more kids playing, but it's typically the same ones that are playing way too much. So we as coaches have to make sure that we protect that and we take care of that. And we do it by many different ways. You know, with me and my boys, we have reports, and we always try to keep track of it as best we can. Um, but here's the issue: is that the game has changed, and you have to adapt with the times. For a kid that's ready for the next level, he needs to see better pitching. You may not find it here locally. I don't mean here as in the league. I mean in the county.
Yeah.
Just like if you're in Orlando, you may have to step out after a while. So what do? You go into these tournament hubs where you have talent from all over the area. And every given weekend, you're going to see a more consistent higher level. And then not all tournaments are created equal. You know, GSA has great tournaments, and Triple SA has great tournaments. They all have different levels. And then travel ball has different levels. You got double A, the triple A's, and you got majors. And that also increases the level of play. So for a kid that's coming out of rec ball, that it's ready for the next step, fundamentally ready to a certain extent, and it's looking for a better challenge or to develop in that aspect a little bit more, then you have no choice then to jump into the travel ball scene because you're not going to find it locally. So what's happened historically is that those families have no choice but to leave the leagues and to go to Orlando, go to Tampa, go somewhere else, pay the money just to see faster pitching, just to see et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we're just trying to bridge that gap. That's it. And as far as TVT is concerned, I mean, not the only ones. There's other organizations as well, but they have the national teams, scout teams. They also have the opportunity to get moved into one of those teams if they truly, truly stick out. But here's the thing: I can't refer anybody to those teams that we're playing here locally.
Yeah.
You got to be in the event.
Yeah.
So we have to be there. I had one kid, local kid, 12U. Shout out to Brent, and just it's great. Everyone here knows the kid is certified. You take them out of the local environment, put them out there in a PG tournament, lights up the radar gun, 74, 75 at the age of 12. Boom, I'm already having opportunities. Coaches asking from Miami, hey, and so forth. So the idea is that at some point they all outgrow me and I can move them on to somebody else.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know where it cut off at.
All right. Um, so me and you talked this morning, um, a little bit about that, about some of these kids and that was the idea is to develop them to get to move on, basically,
Yeah.
and get them ready to go, and then so if I understood you right, basically every one of these games is especially the PG games are like showcases.
To some extent. Now,
I mean, obviously you want to go win. I mean, that's
yeah, well,
ultimate the goal. But
that's inherited. You play the game win. It's you always put your best foot forward. See, this is where the travel ball conversation a lot of the times gets confusing for some folks because you hear certain people tell you, well, you don't have to play perfect game. Well, you don't. You don't. You don't. It's not a must. Especially if you're young and you're still learning the tools of the game, you're still trying to develop certain fundamentals. Okay, as long as you're playing the game and you're getting good instruction, you're good. But once you get 12 and above, perhaps 13 for sure, 14, then at that point, what are you training for? I don't know any kid in this area or anywhere that they play baseball in their hopes to get that college scholarship or to play at the next level.
I think a lot of it is just to yeah, to me in coaching, it's when you get to the I actually start seeing it in the 12U a little bit, but in the when you get into the 13 and 14U, it's almost like you're preparing yourself for high school.
Yeah, yeah, and so there's the element of preparing for high school ball. You don't necessarily need perfect game for that. That's not I think
No, but
perfect
I
game
think it
gets
helps.
absolute 100%. And again, perfect game gets the rep is not needed. No, 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 no. It's talent that's there that's needed. So in order for you to truly prepare for what's coming in high school and so forth, you can't play in a local environment. You have to get out there and be challenged, and that's what those venues provide a greater challenge. The game has changed, and that aspect has gotten younger. So it used to be that it was, 16, that's where it needed to be. Now it's just gotten younger. You can't wait till you're 15, 16 to try to get ready. It starts at a younger age. So Perfect Game has changed their model, and they are catering a little bit more. Tournaments are not necessarily more expensive. When they get older, yes, more expensive. But at the younger age, 11, 12-year olds, it's about the same price as anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's just that umpire fees are covered in that entry fee.
And
So when
the-
you look on their website and it says, 450, 500 for the tournament, GSA will show you 175, 200. Well, you got on
Pay-
top of the 175,
but
pay
you
the
got to
gate
pay the
fee,
gate
then you
fee
pay
and then the
umpire
umpire
fees,
fee.
50
Yeah.
bucks. You're at 650. If you budget in the 5 games you potentially going to play, Perfect Game would have been 700. It's about the same. Much better venue, much better competition. So it's a misnomer there as to the perception behind it. But once the kids get to around 13 and above, 14, they have to be challenged at that level. It's a must. At the end of the day, development must yield you that exposure.
So I'm gonna move on to something again. Me and you talked about earlier this morning. Is developing teams at a young age. We talked about, how we have a here at Eagle Lake, we've got just the elite teams themselves. Um, we have I know a 9U coming up, a 12U, a 11U,
Yep.
and then now officially now a 14U.
Yeah.
After this morning. Um, but talk about keeping a core together at a young age.
Yeah, that's huge. So at a very young age, and look, there's even people involved in this league that understand this even way better than me. This league is privileged to even have Coach Schaefer and being involved in this league and a great mind of baseball. And he'll tell you that fundamentals is very important. Understanding the game, playing understanding situations, understanding all of that. Because you'd be surprised the amount of kids that get to high school and don't even know how to line up for cutoffs and just basic bunt situations. They don't know any of that. Um, if you follow modern trends and it's all about exit velos and everything, they forget how to play the game.
Yeah.
So that's important.